This video is actually good news. This video should make you feel good. I laughed. I'm lifted up by this first. Here's the headline. Stephen Fry accused of using okay hand gesture. I'm not going to use what they called it in a post about mental health. For those of you that are listening, you can't see, but we've got Stephen Fry, the great comedian. Stephen Fry is an amazing individual, and he's holding up the okay sign to promote Mental Health Awareness Week. Well, naturally, you know what happened. Stephen Fry decided to make a point. It's an organization called AOK, it's my understanding. And yes, people started dragging him for making the OK hand sign. So let's read some of the stories from metro.co.uk. Stephen Fry has been accused of using an alt-right hand sign for promoting Mental Health Week. Why? Because 2019 and also Twitter. The 61-year-old told followers he would not allow the OK gesture to be co-opted by the alt-right after some people urged him not to use it. And this is why it's good news. Because we're not just going to talk about Stephen Fry here. Ricky Gervais took a big step to defend free speech with a tweet recently. And there's some awesome stuff. We're gonna read these tweets. As Mental Health Awareness Week kicks off, Stephen Fry showed his support for London's AOK Kitchen Working with Mind by sharing a photo of himself holding up the gesture. He tweeted, "Are you AOK? Our friends, AOK Kitchen, are supporting Mind charity this Mental Health Awareness Week, 13 to 19 May. Follow them for more." And he used the emoji. Whew, he's really pushing it. He knew what he was doing. Okay, seriously, he knew what he was doing. He was making a point, and bravo, Stephen Fry, you beautiful, beautiful genius. He said, the story continues. But while Stephen Fry was just trying to raise awareness and drum up support by sharing the universally recognizable OK symbol, others piped up to claim it was a sign of the alt-right. One person wrote, "Stephen and friends, you might want to be super careful using the symbol if you don't want to be confused with the alt-right. It's an unfortunate fact of life that even the kindest of intentions can be taken out of context." Another replied, "Are you aware that this hand symbol can be misinterpreted as support for..." Oh my God. Didn't you have you down as part of the alt-right? The miscommunication was so strong that Stephen followed up his post with a message stating no, he wasn't using a alt-right hand sign. The former QI host wrote, "P.S. I really will not allow the simple OK gesture to belong to the moronic, dog-whistling, catfishing, fog-horning, frog-marching, pig-sticking, dick-waving few who attempted to appropriate for their own fatuous fantasies. It's believed the OK gesture became, and they talk about 4chan after this, you get it. 4chan, it was a hoax. They say in recent months it's been used by a bunch of people who are not good people. But let's pop over to Twitter and see what's going on with Mr. Stephen Fry." So here's what he tweeted, right? You have I read the tweet already. For those that are watching, you can see it's just a Mental Health Awareness Week. It's very innocuous. He's got a decent amount of retweets. There's his statement saying he's not going to let it be taken over. But we can clearly see in the replies, I think, I do believe Twitter is algorithmically handling replies to make sure people see things that make them feel good. Because most of the replies are people mocking those who would claim the OK sign is anything other than OK. We can see one person says, Mr. Ben says, "Oh, Twitter, you are so predictable. Some of the comments... Thank you for my first chuckle of the day. It was needed." So here's the thing. Why is this video going to be a good video, and why should you feel good with a good laugh? I maybe should have done this video as the last segment, but Ricky Gervais has also chimed in. So when I see Stephen Fry and Ricky Gervais come out and say free speech, I'm like, man, that warms my heart, because these are wildly influential mainstream individuals. Stephen Fry is doing something important by not letting these media companies chase after this insane narrative. But I've talked about it. The reason these media companies claim the OK sign is anything other than what it is because they need rage bait. They need to convince you that things are bad. They want you to get angry and click share, right? People posting laughing emojis. But sure enough, there are some people who are accusing him, as it were. Let me. What does the guy say? I have a support team for mental health. I didn't like to ask. Okay, that's nothing to do with the OK sign. Someone says the gesture has another meaning, especially in the USA. Stephen Fry, innocent mistake, I know, but it's a mistake all the same. No, it wasn't a mistake. He knew what he was doing. But let's pop over to Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais tweeted this 4 days ago. "If you don't believe in free speech for people who you hate, fear, and disagree with, then you don't believe in free speech." Spot on. But here's what really, really is uplifting. This made me smile. Gad said, this is why, as a Jewish person, he supports the right of Holocaust deniers to spew their BS. You're welcome. I have respect for that. I believe that sunlight really is the best disinfectant, but it's not absolute, right? When people talk about free speech being the best disinfectant, you have a lot of people on the left who assume that means any idea can be destroyed by, is guaranteed to be destroyed as soon as people hear about it. That's not true. But if you let people fester in darkness, you won't know what they're doing and they'll get worse. This is why all the censorship is bad. Ricky Gervais responded to Gad said, exactly. I say, if you wish to deny something, don't choose evolution of the Holocaust. Way too much evidence. You'll look stupid. And then, as an aside, Gad said then talks to Ricky about getting him on his show, and Ricky is down, which is cool. Man, Ricky Gervais, you are an awesome dude. Funny guy. Appreciate it. Liberal, not lefty, says, please stop being perfect. It's annoying. So the reason why I wanted to pull up the Ricky Gervais tweet and talk about Stephen Fry is that when you constantly see these stories about how the world is going to hell in a handbag, it's depressing. It makes you feel like, wow, people have lost their minds. But then you get reminded that someone like Ricky Gervais, how many followers does he have? 13.3 million followers. And Stephen Fry, let's scroll back up. Stephen Fry with, come on Twitter, load, what are you doing? Stephen Fry has, just 12.7 million followers. These are wildly influential people who are pushing back on the psychosis that is addiction, attention, media. And I have much respect for this. But when it comes to Ricky Gervais, right, I read the story about Stephen Fry, and it made me kind of just like wince, like, oh, God, here we go. If you haven't been following just the absurdity of the OK sign, Cubs, Wrigley Field recently banned a guy for doing the circle game because the media is just playing into this game. They're absolutely playing into it. You can have, somebody use the sign, ironically, but until we get Ricky Gervais, Stephen Fry, and other celebrities saying no, it will only get worse. So this is why this is good news. This is kind of a pushback. Can NBC, can BuzzFeed really claim that Stephen Fry is actually, alt-right? They can't. They can't do it. So the only stories that you'll really see is, Stephen accused of doing this. Yep. It's still that bad where even when you have these mainstream liberal personalities pushing back, the articles still pop up. But a lot of people, let's go down to Ricky Gervais and look at some of the responses. Imam Tahiti says, if you start a new religion, I'll be your prophet Muhammad. It will be good this time, I promise. Wow. It's really important, and look, I think we get it. Free expression is paramount to a free society. If people aren't able to speak out of fear, then we can't progress. And one of the examples I always use is, think about the struggles of the LGBT community when they were speaking about why they deserved rights and the pushback they received, and in some ways still receive some today. We have legal, gay marriage is, boom, it's done. Supreme Court ruled anywhere in the country you can get, gay married. That only came about because people had a right to speak up. Bad ideas went away, good ideas moved forward. So what's going to happen is liberal ideas tend to progress. And I don't mean liberal in the sense like, the left and the right. I mean liberal in the sense of freedom and liberty. And it's because I think there's one underlying principle that's really important or aspect of this. If you come out and say people should not be able to do X, and X doesn't involve anyone else, you're going to be hard-pressed to defend that argument. If you go out and say that you think, women shouldn't be able to do X, people are going to say that doesn't impact your life. So the liberal argument tends to work because most people are going to say, hey, you know what? Whatever makes you happy. I don't want you infringing my rights. I'm not going to infringe yours. There are groups that want to hold things back. They want to, have more, like they want to have traditional policy, or it's not unique to the left or the right. Both sides can do it in certain ways. So long as the idea involves you freely doing something that doesn't harm others, it is likely to move forward. It's not absolute. It's just something I've seen, and I could be wrong, but that's what it tends to look like. And then you get the arguments about, like Second Amendment and pro-choice, and this is where things get different because it starts to overlap with other people's rights in certain areas. Second, 2A, not so much, but pro-choice definitely. Jeffrey Miller says, yes, and in my experience, fewer than 3% of people understand this. This person says, and maybe I don't believe in free speech if this is what it looks like. And he shows a bunch of the Westboro Baptist Church. And this is what they don't realize. When I was doing the podcast with Joe Rogan, he told me that one of the women from the Westboro Baptist Church was de-radicalized by being on Twitter. We don't want to push people in dark corners where they coalesce around these ideas. We want them to be exposed to mainstream good ideas that are recognizable. And we need people who are able to speak up to propose new ideas. Heaven forbid. We just saw a guy get banned from Twitter. He was a research scientist who worked on the DSM-5. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty. He was talking about trans issues. They suspended his account, made him delete it. They were trying to get him to delete a tweet where he talked about gender dysphoria being a mental disorder. Twitter took him down. He's literally the scientist doing the research on it. That's what we can't have. Because imagine a world where someone says, I've discovered the earth revolves around the sun, and Twitter bans you as soon as you do because it's blasphemy. It's against the rules. It's hate speech. It offends the delicate sensibilities of the religious folk. We can't have that. We can't. So, bravo, Ricky Gervais. Bravo, Stephen Fry. I hope this was a more uplifting video for you guys, that tons of support, people defending free speech in the mainstream, and I hope this is a trend that continues. But, I don't know. I'll leave it there. I got one more video coming up for you in a few minutes, and I will see you shortly, unless, of course, you're listening on the podcast, because what I'm going to start doing is taking all of these episodes and making an hour-long podcast every day. So there you go. Stick around. More video to come. One more video to come. I'll see you shortly.